Welcome to the Personal Trainers Who Care podcast. My name is Catherine Marion, and I am a trainer and manager at Freeform Fitness at our Wellington location. And I will also be your host as we get to know another member of our incredible team. Here, we share the stories of our personal trainers because at the heart of every fitness business is a passionate individual who cares about changing lives and helping others realize their full health potential. This podcast is a production of Freeform Fitness, a boutique-style personal training studio with 6 locations across Ottawa, Canada. Here, we hire the very best personal trainers. They are ambitious, hardworking team players who know how to get their clients results. Our trainers provide expert personal training services in studio and also online, and every program is tailored to the individual needs of the client. If you would like to know more about Freeform Fitness, be sure to visit us at freeformfitness.ca. In today's episode, we're going to talk to Mike Farant. He's a personal trainer here at our Wellington location. Mike has been with Freeform Fitness since the summer of 2017. And aside from his personal training certifications, Mike is also certified in FST, and we're going to let him explain what that means in just a few moments. But perhaps the most significant asset that he brings to his clients is a deep understanding of diabetes. Not only because he studied it, but because he's had to learn to live with it just in the last few years himself. Welcome to today's edition of the Personal Trainers Who Care podcast. Thanks for joining us, Mike. How are you doing?
Thanks very much for having me today.
No problem. Excited to join you. And, it's a little strange for us because we work together 3 days a week. But I'm excited to be able to share with our audience, what you do and who you are as a personal trainer, because you just bring so much to the gym every single time you're here. When I was reading over some of the notes, I realized that you're not very shy about discussing, sort of your own transformation, right? So you haven't always been this super fit guy that you are today. How did that evolve for you?
Like anything, there was a roadmap to it. So it was something that I knew if I applied myself to this specifically, I could get to where I wanted. Just playing a lot of sport in my life. I worked at it, got better, but I always pictured myself. I was always a skinny fat kid, and so I knew if I just applied myself and got some knowledge on, taking care of your body and getting towards, I'd find pictures of people that I thought I could look like.
Okay.
Not just massive dudes or just like fit to everyone has a different look, I think. And to me, it was a certain look that I knew my body was capable of getting to with an amount of work put in. And that's kind of what, that's what I did. I found that. Yeah.
And it's, in theory, it's also what we try to tell our clients, like have an idea, and that's different for everybody, right? But have an idea of where you'd like to be and then take it step by step.
A realistic idea, more importantly, is a realistic idea, because you're given a certain body frame and to look a certain way. I mean, let's be honest, sometimes that's not attainable, right? So you have to stay within the means of what your body is capable of doing as well.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you go from, that to wanting to become a personal trainer? What was that journey like?
I had never been a gym guy. I was a gym guy, but never like in the weight room.
Yeah.
And then I was shy to go in a weight room, and I didn't feel that. I mean, I'm sure it's the fear everyone has going to a weight gym or just a gym, not knowing what I'm doing. I don't look like that guy over there. It's a lot of confidence issues. So, I mean, I got a lot of help, educated through people like my brother or other people I respected that excelled in my craft of sport, that, and then took that. And then I wanted to basically, once I learned and soaked up all that, I started to share it and help other people, and found other people that were in my shoes, at the beginning, and how awkward that transition is, that beginning. And that was just it. I just, meet one person that way, another person that way. And then it just became good at it.
I know. And now here you are, right?
Mhm.
Why do you think, what's one of the things that you enjoy so much about this work that we do here?
In this business, it's I like taking people's shitty confidence. Can I say that? Can I say like really their confidence is really low, and then bring it up till it's really high. And I don't know, I feel like I'm part of a winning team when I do that, So I don't feel like taking credit, but I feel like because I was there and I was in like a spot here and now I'm a spot there. And that whole ride, that journey is the win.
That's awesome. So
Mhm.
listen, we know that we needed personal training certifications and all kinds of workshops and learning to be a trainer, but you went one step further and went with FST, which is fascial stretch therapy. Tell me about that. What is that?
FST in short is really, it's deep dynamic stretching. It's myofascial stretch release. It's going to allow someone who's maybe not very stretchy or what's the word I'm looking for?
Flexible?
Flexible, sure.
Okay.
We are tight every day-to-day work, whether it's just our hips bothering us from driving a car and those unnatural positions, or the way we walk can be off. So there's always these little imperfections in our body that kind of cause deeper pains and major surgeries even later on in life. So it took actually me to hurt myself, and to get better, I was seeing someone with an FST degree, and they helped me so much, so efficiently compared to traditional acupuncture, physiotherapy. I went to see a lot of people, but I was fixed by someone who was giving me fascial stress therapy in my back. So what I've done is it really inspired me to go take this when I found it available.
And I know
Now
I've seen you do it with some of your clients. They are so grateful, and they can't believe how much better they're moving once they get off the table.
Yeah, it's a huge. It puts a lot of water into our joints, a lot of liquid fluid into our joints. With it just helps that range of motion, things in like our shoulders, our hips, which are the most important parts.
Yeah. Well, I will gladly admit that I was probably your wimpiest client. Remember that? I don't think I did that very well.
Beautiful.
I was wimp. All right. So we know that it helps, and it's something that you can incorporate with your clients. So if somebody's watching us right now, like, wait a minute, can I come in and just do that and see you to just do that? Does that work, or do you only work with clients that are training in the gym as well?
No, FST clients, I have clients that strictly come in for half hour, 1 hour appointments of fascial stress therapy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So listen, one of the biggest things I think, one of the biggest learning curves, if you will, for you must have been this whole diabetes journey. And if you'll allow me, I'd love to dive into that. So, this is rather new, right? You didn't come into the world with diabetes. What was that like to kind of figure out what was happening with your body? Because you were really like, I remember when this happened, we were working together. If everybody's watching at home, Mike trains almost every single day. I've seen what you put in the fridge downstairs. Nobody eats better than you do. Everything about health, you cross it and dot it, and it's amazing. So how do you kind of realize something's not right?
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, like juvenile diabetes starts usually when you're a juvenile or quite young. I seem to have picked that up at the age of like 40, so there's a lot of studies on it. They're talking about it being called like type 1.5 diabetes. And they're learning more and more about it. But for me, it was completely out of left field, but I knew something was wrong with my body. And as stubborn as I am, I thought that's impossible. And I just put the denial act on for months, but then to realize, to see pictures of me back then and how sick I really was, like it was mind blowing. But the side effects were all there from diabetes. And I just simply did my homework and was, looking, researching what was wrong with me, how I felt into Google, and it kept coming back that these were signs of diabetics. So anyway, from that very moment when I went to get my blood test done, I suffered even more from like that point on. So once I found out that I got diabetes, then there's a process of back to your doctor and then your endocrinologist, and there's a waiting list. And so there's a very, very long period of time where I kind of suffered and not really knowing what's going to happen from here.
And what does it mean? Like, what does it mean, right? Like, it's so vague, I'm sure, in the first few days before you meet all the specialists. You must be thinking, what does this mean?
Brutal. I mean, to me, as being ignorant and thinking, well, diabetes is kind of it's a disease for someone who is, it's a lifestyle disease. And to me, I'm like, it doesn't make sense, right? I don't make all these sacrifices in life to have this. But, when your pancreas stops working and has an expiry date a little earlier than the rest of your body, then, that's what you get. So I've learned a lot on the subject over the last few years. Yeah. And, it was a shock. It was very hard. That whole year was so hard for me. And, but now that that's behind me, it's what it is now.
I know. And, I think one of the things I admire about you is because we were working together and I could see that there's a learning curve. I mean, you it's not like you were in the gym talking about it and researching it, but I could tell that, in your off time, you were taking the time to learn and to talk to specialists and so forth. And here we are today, and you've got all of this knowledge and you're like, that's not enough. Now you want to share it. Like, now you want to share with other people like you who may, like you, and early on think, what can I still train? Can I can I eat? What do I have to give up or not? Like, I'm sure there's so much confusion and uncertainty, and you've made it into your mission almost to help other people along the way.
Yeah. I mean, there's professional athletes that live with this, right? It just takes, it's a lifestyle disease where you have to be disciplined. It's a discipline disease, right? Like, food can be your enemy. And even the problem and the tricky thing with diabetics is that you can mimic tomorrow what I did today as far as nutrition, right down to the gram, yeah. And your blood sugar will always be different regardless, right? So it's tricky and it's a head game, and it's hard on your mental, right? But you can't get fixated on numbers like that. You have to, I've got a lot of tips and tricks for people, obviously in the gym world, especially because your blood sugar is constantly going high and low, depending on what style of training you're doing. You're going to expect different results from your blood sugar. And, training a type 1 diabetic and a type 2 diabetic is going to be a little different as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is a lot of things I've learned along the way. And obviously when I spark up, when I kind of hear somebody say they are diabetic, or I see their patch on their arm, then I kind of feel like, okay, well, let's go. And even if it's a supermarket, it's a conversation. It's a lot of us just want to talk about it,
Yeah, of course.
And a lot of our a lot of people, like, I'm sick of bothering my wife about talking about diabetes. She's done with it. She's heard it for 2 years. So, but it's good to talk to someone. So, I mean, that whole avenue of, it goes a long way.
I think also, doctors know things, they help us diagnose, and just, tell us what we need to do medically, but sometimes they're not necessarily specialists when it comes to like in the gym, but here you are both. So you have diabetes and you also know about the gym. So you can really help your clients who aren't sure, okay, am I allowed to work out? Is there something I should not be doing in the gym? What would you say to someone who's new, who's coming in, is like, okay, my doctor doesn't seem to think I should be training. I don't know if a real doctor would say that, but what would you say to someone who's not sure if they can come into the gym and have a workout?
Get a new doctor. Yeah. So like it comes down to three things. Like living with diabetes, you live with diabetes through your food, nutrition, your exercise, and blood sugar management. And those are the three things that you don't get paid for, it's extra work than the other individual, but those three things work together. But to be honest, it's a blessing sometimes to think about, well, I just ate this. This is what happens with my blood sugar. Now, someone who is perfectly normal or has a normal functioning pancreas eats the same thing or worse. And you're like, I can't imagine what that's doing to your pancreas right now, how much work you're putting through your body. And in time, you know, someone with diabetes can sit there, we can live longer than that person who's making these poor choices, because it's like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. But there is, because over time things break down, things happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
Yeah.
clearly, aside from your diet, so that you know, some of that had to have changed for you, right? Like the way I mean, you were always eating healthy, but did you have to make some extra changes in there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a constant battle with research, trying to find out what's the best way to eat as a diabetic. You know, the method through kind of the medical side of North America is kind of eating a high protein, high fat, low carb all the time. And now there's a lot of studies where, you know, garden vegetable and a high carb, low fat diet is going to, and then when I say carb, I don't mean pizza.
Yes.
Right? Because that's the different, I mean, I'm luckily that I'm schooled and knowledgeable when it comes to food and have this disease. So where I kind of help is a lot of people that are having, they don't know a carb from a sugar to a protein to any, right? Yeah. And they're just lost. And if they're just handed something like diabetes, then I couldn't imagine the world of pain they're in, because okay, I'm ready to, I don't know what to do, you know? So that's kind of where I come in, you know?
Yeah. And how about workouts? So we're talking about food. So we made some adjustments. Did your own workouts have to change once you, or is it eating around the workouts that had to change? What changed as far as your physical activity in the gym?
Well, since I've been married, my workouts have changed quite a bit. But
let's say married and, you know, and a daddy and an almost new daddy on the way. So you're a busy guy.
Yeah, I think, yeah, so definitely the higher intensity you train in your workouts, your blood sugar is going to drop a bit.
Okay.
And the more kind of strength phase training where you're pushing, pulling, squatting, maybe deadlifting at a heavier weights, lower rep, your blood sugar can actually kind of climb during your workout.
Okay.
Right. So I try and stay right in the middle.
Okay.
Where I'm not too intense and I'm not chatting the whole time I'm working out. You know?
No,
so,
you're focused.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of what I've learned. And now everyone can act a little different. But so my workouts, yeah, they've come down a little bit with intensity.
Yeah. But I mean, they're just as frequent because, like, you know, I see you doing it just.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That'll never stop. Yeah. That'll never.
So you took this knowledge and you're sort of out there as tell us the name of what you just started. Sorry, I've forgotten it already.
My diabetes coaching.
Yes.
Yeah. So www.ottawadiabetescoach.com.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's to help people that have diabetes, type 1, 1.5, 2, whether they're new diabetics or veteran diabetics that need a push, whether it comes to food, exercise, and blood sugar management. So, I mean, without going into details about kind of what I do, it's there for them.
Okay.
They can use me virtually, or if they're in Ottawa, then we can do things together, right? It's the disease is it's not cured, but it's lived with through those three components.
Yeah, mixed together. And I'm guessing that probably for a lot of people, you know, someone who's tuning in who's just found out, kind of like you did, you might just be the right person to talk to. I mean, we do want the medical,
definitely,
you know, advice, but then talking to like you were just saying in the middle of the grocery store, you know, talking to someone who has it and is managing it, it can be reassuring, right?
Yeah, it is. It's overwhelming at the beginning, and I think the doctors are available for most people with diabetes, but they're not. You're just you're not a priority, and you're not. It's just not enough. It's not enough. It was barely enough for me, and I know how to take care of myself through these three things. But to have that outlet and have a more personal one-on-one kind of tracking, helping, answering questions all the time. And your doctors, they don't have diabetes, so they don't really understand, they do through a book on how it's, you're reacting and what's happening, but they don't get it like I get it, next person.
So, we're talking about the gym and what you do here in diabetes, but your clients aren't just, people who have diabetes, right? You are able to train just about everybody, from someone who's walking off the street and has never been in a gym before to senior citizens, right? Who are hoping to stay as active as they can, to everybody in between, right? Tell us about the kind of people that you see every day.
Oh my God, they're everybody. I see my parents twice a week. I have a range, probably 19 years old is my youngest client right now, and I probably train up to someone who is 78, 79. Yeah. So, I mean, everyone's got their own little goal. But it's great. I mean, I train firemen, and I train hockey players, and I train grandpa sitting on the couch. So, it's great. In each location that I've worked at, you see, I don't know, you see the same people, you see the same people. Yeah.
So my point when I bring this up is that if somebody's watching that and they're not sure the gym is for us, it's for everybody, isn't it? The gym is for everybody.
Yeah, Freeform, this company is really good at hiding that. Like, I find it's not a massive big box gym. Like, anyone who's coming into this gym will see the same 3-4 faces that they see almost every time they're here. It's very small, boutique, obviously, but it's the size of your living room anyways. I mean, right? You feel like you're in your living room. So, I mean, it's comfortable. It's a comfortable place to work out. There's no ego here. It's playful, and it's really a lot different than big box gyms.
Yeah. Let's talk about misconceptions. I'm thinking of two different things. So misconceptions about the gym, and working with a trainer, but also misconceptions about someone who's a diabetic. So let's talk a little bit about those. What do you want to start with?
The first one.
Let's do it. What are some of the biggest misconceptions about being in a gym working with a trainer?
Oof. Well, I think one of the biggest misconceptions right off the bat, especially after meeting someone for the first time, is that, now these roles can be in reverse, but I'll use one example, is that a man doesn't want to be trained by a woman because she doesn't know how to get big. Does that make sense?
Yes, I've lived it.
Or the other way around, like a man won't understand a woman's body, so I'd rather a woman train her. But that may be on the outside. But I think there's a trust factor, a huge trust factor that we as trainers have to earn from that client.
Sure.
And it's tricky at the beginning when someone's already stubborn and made their mind up before that conversation takes place. Or they may have had a bad experience prior in another gym, but that trainer just may happen to be a male or female. It's not necessarily who they are. I think that's a huge one.
Yeah. And one of the best things is when you push through and then, 6 months later, they've signed on and they're so happy. And you're like, I had it wrong, right? They're like, I had it wrong.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And majority of them, they do come around. Yeah, for sure.
And okay, so what about diabetes? What do you think, most people, what's one of the biggest things that people get wrong about a person who's got, type 1 or type 1.5?
A misconception.
What do you think people get wrong?
Pardon me?
What do you think people get wrong about it, about diabetes? Like, I always assume you can't have birthday cake. Like, for me, before meeting you, I thought, okay, I bet, oh my goodness, I can't imagine never being able to have birthday cake. That was my first thought before I met you.
Right. Well, we all shouldn't have.
Just one piece. Come on.
But obviously, when it comes to diabetes, everyone jumps to the sugar point and says, well, you can't have sugar, diabetic. But, I can have sugar. I do have sugar. It's like everything in life. It's modification. It's modified. I inject my own insulin into my own body, right? So I mean, if I'm gonna have a low piece of sugar, then I just go and tweak it, make a few adjustments on insulin levels. But that's obviously, I think, the most common, biggest
Absolutely.
misconception.
So let's talk about working out.
Okay.
You know you enjoy working out. What are your favorite workouts for you personally?
Personally. Well, like when I first started working out, I would do bench press with a friend, and that's all we would do. But when you're in a mirror and you're looking at yourself,
that's all you see, right?
Out, right? Yeah, it takes up so much, and it also makes your kind of your waist look smaller. So I mean, I think at the very beginning, I mean, I ran with, we just do this over and over, but I still I have love for bench press. I could lie on a bench and just bench press all day for a workout, sure. And I could, I just pick up different things to push up in the air, but I mean, for sure, it's still my favorite. Yeah.
And if you were meeting somebody new in the gym, right? So if somebody's coming in, they're brand new, they've never, worked out. What's the first thing that you like to teach them?
Oh my gosh.
I know that's not fair because it depends on their mobility and stuff. That's not fair. But assuming they don't have limitations too much, like no arthritis and back issues, some of those typical limitations are off the table. What's some of the things that you like to do first?
Man. Oh man, I really do size up a client really quick. I really do. I don't know, man. I really don't know. Sometimes it differs from men, I'll go immediately men, I'll look at upper body, and then women generally like to do lower body. So I mean, bench for men, hip thrust for women, usually.
True.
Depending on their levels of advance, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about you personally.
Mm-hmm.
Big things are happening for you. You have one little girl at home and you have another one on the way. So that's something else, actually, before you even move on. When people say to us, you can't possibly understand, I have no time. Like, I'm a parent and I got a full-time job. How do I fit in a workout?
Well,
You totally get it, right?
I get it now. Yeah, I get it now. When I thought I was tired, I wasn't tired. When I thought I had no time, I had no time. Yeah, man, it is a huge, big change. I mean, a positive, amazing change. It's just, there's less mic time.
Yeah.
There's less time.
But I mean, can't you, you're able to bring that knowledge to the gym. I know that I can do the same. I'm a mom myself. When people say, I don't know how to fit that in, there's a way to, that's why our workouts are 30 minutes, right? There's a way to fit in 30-minute workout, right?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? A lot of the time when I'll say to myself, I'm starving, I need to eat, or I can do push-ups.
Oh, I like that.
Honestly, and you'll be surprised. And the next thing, all of a sudden I didn't eat lunch, but I had a workout in, and that's okay. You're not gonna die from that. And that's one way.
Yeah,
really
I've often told my clients, have you spent 30 minutes to an hour doom scrolling on your phone, like through Twitter, looking at nothingness? That time could have been a workout time, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, man.
So if someone is listening to us right now and they're inspired to kind of know more about you, what are some of your social media platforms? Where can they find more information about you?
All right. Well, I'm not a huge social media person.
But you do have the website about your diabetes coaching.
I do have the diabetes coach at www.ottawadiabetescoach.com.
Yeah.
I have an Instagram account at MDELUV. And
you can't go without talking a little bit about Rosie and Reese. Don't they have their own Instagram accounts?
They do.
Aren't those your first baby girls?
One was my first was a boy. He was a Bernese Mountain Dog. Wow. Reese lived till he was about 8. Wow. And then Rosie, my Saint Bernard, she's about 6 now.
They're huge. I know that Reese is gone now, but they're huge.
They're a big dog. They leave a lot of fur. We still have fur in the house. And oh my God, it's a ton of dog. It really is a ton of dog. Yeah.
I know, but the love you have for Rosie, it's so sweet.
She's a big girl. She's a good girl. She's broken maybe 4 or 5 vacuum cleaners. Just up the hair. It's something.
But how was she when you brought your first daughter home, right? Because that must have been a big thing.
I was nervous. I was a bit nervous just because of the size of her paws. She's a big girl, and she's cuddly and everything, but she's just the clumsiness of a big Saint Bernard in a house with a baby. Yeah. But surprisingly, it was. Ashley was more kind of daring than I was. I'll put it at that. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, now you'll get to see, in the next little while, you'll get to see how Rosie's going to react to another
one. She just moves down on the totem pole.
I know.
Rosie. And so do I.
Poor thing. As long as she doesn't know it, right? All right. So listen, before we finish off, I'm going to try and throw out some rapid fire questions at you. Just kind of answer those and see where it takes us. All right. Sounds good?
All right. I'm ready.
So what's something that you know now that you wish you knew when you first started training?
I should have done it at a younger age.
Really, eh?
Oh, yeah. 1,000%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you would tell your younger self to start around what age you think?
Oh, man. Nutrition and working out when I was in my late teens, for sure.
Would have changed your life?
Oh, my God. For sure it would have. Absolutely. Yeah, I think about that a lot, actually. But I was like, it wasn't cool. There was no,
no, it wasn't a thing.
People weren't in shape. No one was in shape in my high school.
Yeah.
Nobody was in shape in my high school.
People played they played sports, but being active is not the same thing as working out, right?
Yeah. Gyms and weights especially. And the people, I think, teaching the high school, no one had the knowledge yet because they didn't work out. There was a process and a time where it became mainstream and people started to really notice that. But, like anything.
Yeah. All right. What is, and we kind of touched on this, but what is the first skill you like to teach a beginner? So beginners in the gym, what's the first skill you think that they should master, that they should learn?
Probably their breathing and matching their breathing with their movement.
Smart, of course. Yeah. Really important. And what do you believe is your most valuable coaching skill? What do you think that you bring that's maybe a little bit different than anybody else?
Yeah. I pay attention very closely to the finer details of a simple movement. And I think the constant reminders, and I'll adjust my voice to when things are more important than other things. And it kind of works. And I find that that's communicating, I guess, is probably strong.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That wasn't so painful, was it?
It was not that bad.
Awesome. Well, listen, I'm so glad that you were able to join us today and especially, share some of that knowledge that you have about diabetes. I think a lot of people, might not know where to go. And, you are, that voice, and they can find you here, and they can also find you, at our Kanata location, if ever, and online. We'll include that link to our podcast today so that you can, offer that kind of support, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, listen, thank you so much, Mike, for joining us on this latest edition of the Personal Trainers Who Care podcast. So if people want to know more about Michael, they can watch this podcast. They can check out his Ottawa Diabetic Coach website. We're going to include that over here. And thank you at home for watching us today. Be sure to check out our past podcasts to get to know even more members of our fabulous team. And while you're here, make sure that you like and subscribe for more great health and fitness content. And that is it for today's edition. We'll see you next time. Thanks again, Mike. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
And there you have it. Thank you very much to Michael for joining us on today's edition of the Personal Trainers Who Care podcast. And thank you at home for watching. Be sure to check out all of our past podcasts to get to know more members of our incredible team. And while you're there, be sure to like and subscribe for more great health and fitness content. That's it for today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.